Well, thank you very much to our three speakers. And it's just before lunch. We've got 15 minutes, though, for some question and answers. So I'd be delighted to take some questions from the audience. And also just noting that we have also got questions digitally as well. So if you could have a wee think about some questions from the audience, but I will go first of all to a couple of the digital ones. One of them is from Clive Phillips. I don't know if anybody knows Clive, but here's a question for yourself, Awal. Excellent presentation and great opportunities, but how do we address producer and consumer concerns about the non-Preston slaughter? Some countries such as New Zealand ban, yet are successfully producing and promoting halal products.
Thank you. That will work here?
Yeah, that's working.
Okay. So that's an interesting question, but it's got a political element to it. So I'm happy the politicians, I hope they are still here. So the question is about non-stun slaughter. We know scientifically, research has shown that when you slaughter an animal without stunning, the animal will feel pain. Now, what I didn't mention in my presentation is the fact that if you look at slaughter of halal slaughter in the UK, the majority of the animals are actually stunned before slaughter, contrary to what we find on online dishing the halal slaughter. 99% of bovine animals are stunned. 78 or 77% of small ruminants are stunned. And poultry, I don't really do a lot with poultry, so I don't look at poultry data. Sorry. So majority of all the animals, all the species are actually stunned. But that doesn't mean all of it is stunned. If you look at Australia, all halal is stunned. From AHDB perspective, we collect levies from both stun and non-stun slaughter. However, we will support any research that will enable the Muslim community to understand slaughter methods that are consistent with their beliefs so that they can make informed decisions. I'll give you an example. My research in Bristol looked at the development of a new method of stunning bovine animals. We've developed a prototype, it's yet to be commercialized. Now, if this prototype comes into the market, if we commercialize it and it comes into the market, it's up to the Muslim community to choose whether they accept it or they do not accept it. It's something we can provide the solution. It's up to them to choose or not.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you very much. Is there any questions from the audience? Yes, if there's a microphone here for the front. Thank you. Just the lady at the front here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Susanna Bolton, SIUC, Scotland's Rural College. I've got a question about innovation that also expands a little bit on some of what we heard about supply chains and the equitable sharing of risk through supply chains. One of the things that also came out of that was a concept around perhaps equitable sharing of value through supply chains. And I'd like to ask, particularly Andy, but also all of the panel, how innovation can support some of that equitable sharing.
Thank you. Thank you, Suzanne. Andy?
Great question. Hi, Suzanne. So I think the first thing is understanding your supply chains. So one of the things that I've experienced the last few years is that people haven't really understood their supply chains as much as they should do. We learned that particularly from COVID and also Brexit. So that's the first thing. I think the second thing is that there's a real interest now in local supply chains. I hear a lot of conversations about people wanting to explore how local supply chains can be expanded. I think the sort of movement away from just in time to just in case. So I think we need to be much, much better at understanding our local supply chains and developing those. It's really tough, Suzanne, because I just think what we have to do is that we have as an industry really unpack where the value is created in the supply chain. So it's not just understanding the supply chains, but where is the value created? And I know we talk about retailers, we talk about processes, etc. But I'm not sure, I think the answer to your question is understanding the supply chains better. We have to be better at that.
Thank you. Emma, would you like to answer?
I'm of similar thoughts. I think for me, from a sort of farm shop retailer side of the coin is that the problem we have in Scotland is that Scotland is a very small but very widespread. And we have so many people that are absolutely wanting to try and supply locally, shops, co-ops, but the infrastructure just isn't there at a price that can be then passed on for everybody, and quite rightly for everybody to be able to make a margin on what they're doing. So I think 100% we need to understand the supply chain, but we also, instead of taking away the mechanics of being able to make that happen, which is what is happening at the minute, we need to be able to get government back on board and saying, look, we need to make some smaller cottage industries and we need to help them to make that work so then they can do a bigger supply chain, so then it all naturally evolves.
Thank you. Awal? Perfect, thank you very much. Is there any other questions from the audience? Yes, thank you. Just down here. Thank you very much. Jan?
Thank you. Norma Lyle from Angus in Scotland. We heard earlier on about the right to roam and how it wouldn't work in England. And of course in Scotland it's actually known as the Scottish Outdoor Access Code, and you can't actually roam everywhere. Emma, how would you take that fear factor out from those that are maybe a bit alarmed with the thought, because I realise that on your farm there's public access?
I would just say you have to 100% embrace it. The vast majority of the general public are respectful and understanding. Those that are slightly get things maybe slightly wrong with dogs, and that it's just a case of education. So I think we have the points and everybody has the knowledge. It's just then up to, for us, how we then educate people into following the routes that we would like them to route in a safe environment. But yeah, go for it. It is wonderful.
Thank you. We'll take another digital question that's online from Eamon Roughly. What can be done to encourage more producers to explore the opportunities that direct selling offers, and how, as industry, can we scale this up to build market traction so that more producers and consumers can share the benefits of locally produced, top quality British food? Well, over to yourself first.
Yeah, well, so for farmers interested in direct selling, there is a gap in the halal market. I know a couple of farmers who have taken advantage or who have identified the gap and supplying to a huge number of increasing younger consumer. The younger Muslim consumer is looking for quality, versatility, and good welfare. That is the younger consumer. So for farmers who are innovative, who are willing to put in an extra shift, there is a market in that arena for people to tap in. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Others? Yeah.
Yeah, I think the direct selling is really important, and we ourselves, as a family, buy stuff direct. But I think we have to be very careful of is that you're actually buying what you think you're buying. That's the whole reason why all the retailers are set up. They have incredible systems behind them to make sure that people are buying what they think they're buying. So authenticity and integrity of product is a very important part of direct selling.
Great. Emma?
I couldn't agree more. I think that's exactly it.
Excellent. Okay, is there any more questions from the audience? Yeah, we've got two across here. And I think just due to time, we've got one other on the digital, so I think these will be our last two from the audience.
Henry Reynolds, just hearing about all that innovation infrastructure was very interesting at the beginning there, but I found it a bit nebulous, I admit. I just wondered if you had a sort of case study or an example of its success so we could understand how all that infrastructure actually contributes to a final outcome.
Andy?
What do you mean nebulous? You're talking about the free trade agreements. Was that the bit you're referring to?
All those organisations that you have in Wales that do various things to support parts of the journey, but what is a typical journey through all that, and what is it actually produced at the end of the day?
Sure, great. Yeah, apologies for being a little bit like that. I think 10 minutes squishes it all down rather a lot. So for me, innovation is a journey that we go on. It comes through from sort of an idea, market research, to proof of concept. But I think the point I was trying to make is that actually in that initial journey, we are great at coming up with ideas in this country, really great at coming up with ideas. But actually we're not so good at passing them over to the, if you like, the entrepreneurial side of our business here. And we have to be much better at doing that. So the point I was trying to make is, let's identify the ideas that are runners. Let's not back all the ideas, because some of the ideas are not good. We don't want to do them. But actually, let's be ruthless about picking up on good ideas and be ruthless about making sure that we give them the backing they need, the finance backing, the marketing backing, the business backing, to make sure that the whole process works really well. Yeah? So that's what I was trying to say. Quite happy to have a catch-up later on.
Thank you. Thank you. And our second question?
Yes, thank you, yeah. Awal, Simon Alden Adkin. In Oxford here, it's a classic example, we have a very strong ethnic population. My family have been butchers here for 250 years or so, and they're catering butchers, and there's a very significant halal market in that area, particularly here. So far as retail offering is concerned, it's entirely controlled by small independent butchers, predominantly on the Cowley Road. My question really is twofold. How do we find a margin in halal products? And then secondly, why are the multiples not, particularly in somewhere like Oxford and other centres, why are they not entering into this market?
That's a really good question. But if you look back 20 years ago, you would have struggled to find any halal products in any of the main supermarkets. There was research published in 2008 where they concluded that the Muslim community was not shopping in the mainstream retail shops because they didn't find the products that they needed. Now, 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, most of the multiples, Tesco and others, have now introduced halal counters. I haven't been to the Oxford, any of the retail shops in Oxford, but if you look at where there is huge Muslim population, all of them now have fresh meat halal counters. Tesco, Morrison's, Asda, those are the three. I'm very 100% sure that they do that. They also have frozen and packaged products which are halal. So I think they started doing that. As to whether the Oxford shop has got one, I'm not sure. But it is something that is now in the mainstream retail shops.
Great. And just a final question, which is digital, and it's from Hannah Lloyd. Thank you, Hannah. But just building on what you're saying there, Awal, is from an audience perspective, how better can the audience engage with the Muslim community at home as well as abroad, as such a big important market from our UK produce? So our surround engagement piece, how can we do that better?
Yeah, that's another excellent question, in a sense that if you want to sell a product to a customer, you need to first of all engage with the person. The farming community has been scared of the Muslim community for far too long. The Muslims, they are not scary at all. They are very friendly guys. I'm a Muslim as well. They are very friendly. We need to engage with them. AHDB has introduced a on-farm or farm visit program for the Muslim community. We want to see more organizations or more farmer organizations or more trade organizations welcoming the Muslim community to interact with them. These guys are our main customers. If we do not interact with them, they will continue to import products from abroad. Beef, for instance, as I gave the example, the statistic, only 5% of beef is halal beef is produced in the UK. Majority of them is imported from Ireland and from Australia. The reason for this is that the Muslim community are not comfortable with our slaughter methods. As you guys know, or many people will know, the main method of bovine slaughter is what is called the captive bolt stunning. Captive bolt destroys the brain, kills the animal, so it's inconsistent with halal slaughter. If we interact with the Muslim community, we will get to understand these things. Then we can influence policy for those organizations that can lobby. We can influence policy for those in research. We can research new slaughter methods so that we can satisfy our biggest customers. They are our biggest customers, and we don't want to interact with them. So it's a lose-lose situation for us.
Thank you very much. Okay, so just now to sum up, lunch is going to be served in the North School, which is just directly opposite, and also downstairs in rooms 7, 8 and 9. And the menu for your lunch can be found on the app, and it's also being displayed on boards around the room. We have a short video that I'm going to just summarise before we finish for lunch. But I would like to take this opportunity to thank our 3 speakers for coming to Oxford today and giving up their time and presenting their wonderful stories. So thank you very much. Thank you.